Hi, we're doing Mortgage Minutes with MK and Lisa. I'm Mary Kate Beckman with Keller Williams Realty.
And I'm Lisa Billings with Keller Home Loans.
Today's topic is, what questions should I be asking my loan officer? So once you call me and start saying, hey, I'm ready to look for a home, I'm going to be shooting you back to Lisa so that we can get you pre-approved. And here's the questions that you should be asking her.
All right, so these are some of I narrowed it down to 7. These are my favorites that I think everyone should keep in the back of their mind. The first one is, what types of loans do I qualify for? So I don't think everybody realizes that there isn't just one kind of loan, right? And sometimes the different types of loans have different qualifiers. So not everybody's gonna qualify for a first-time home buyer or an FHA or a VA. So make sure you're asking those questions straight out and not just assuming that they're going to tell you or that I'm gonna tell you everything. I would, of course. Of course, but and then of course pros and cons of each. So if you're wanting to explore multiple options, like what different types of loans might make sense for you, let's talk about what the pros and cons might be of those different loan programs.
Right, and that's a great one for pros and cons because everybody wants to know, do I qualify for down payment assistance? Well, yes, you might qualify for a down payment assistance, but your interest rate's going to be higher. So they're not always free money like it kind of sounds like. So you do want to know what types of loans and pros and cons.
Yeah, maybe it works for you. The next thing would be, what are the credit requirements and or income requirements for the loans that you're offering, right? So make sure you understand if there's a certain credit minimum you need to be at or maintain, or a certain income, so that if you're getting pre-approved and then things might be changing with your situation before you end up buying, you need to know, like, hey, if you start making too much money, which is a good thing, right? But not necessarily if you're trying to qualify for a program that's income restriction. So just be aware of that. Another thing is just ask you want to ask questions about what the process looks like. So as a consumer, as a buyer, what am I going to be expected to do at each step, right? So make sure you're going through the step-by-step process of, okay, I get pre-approved and then I start looking at homes. Then what? What is happening during the process, so you know fully what to expect. When are we going to check your credit again? When are we going to verify your employment and income? Those are the things you need to be aware of. Another thing would be the max approval, but with a caveat. Not just how much is your max approval, but the payment that you're approved for. Because honestly, the purchase price and loan amount, that doesn't necessarily dictate to the max payment that you can qualify for. If you're looking at a condo, you have to factor in condo HOA dues, right? And that's not something that's going to be the same at every house or every property. Right. So make sure you know what's the payment that I'm approved for, so then we can kind of back into what that looks like as a price or a loan amount. The next one would be, when can I lock in my interest rate? So a lot of people are shopping for homes, and maybe it takes a few months, right? You might be looking for a while before you find that perfect house. So it's important to know at what stage in the process you can actually lock the interest rate, which means you're securing that rate and that payment for the long term. And in our case, it's going to be when you're under contract. So we look at how long do we need while you're under contract. Okay. So. What are the lender costs? So make sure you understand that there's different costs to the process. You pay a lender for their services, you pay a title company, you pay an appraiser, you pay a realtor. There's all the costs. Yeah, they get lumped together usually on our estimates so that you know the total cash you need to buy a house. But it's important to know what each component is. And if you're talking to different lenders to compare options, ask what their costs are so you can fully compare apples to apples. And then the last is just understanding how often you are going to be provided updates during the process. So once you go under contract, or even while you're still shopping, are there updates that you are going to be expecting to hear from me during that process? When are you going to hear updates from Mary Kay about the different parts of the house transaction process going through? So that way you have a full understanding of everyone's kind of expectations going forward. So
these are great questions for you to ask, and you don't want to go out looking at homes not prepared. This was a topic that comes up often, and we would love for you to share it with others. If you learned something, please comment below. If you want to know about something else, please comment below, and we'll be happy to share it with you. Thanks for watching.